Even before he died, King Ludwig II had already become something of a legend. "I want to remain an eternal mystery to myself and others," Ludwig once told his governess, and it is this mysterious element that still fascinates people today. His palaces, which were barred to strangers, have been visited by over 130 million people since his death. They are records in stone of the ideal fantasy world which the king built as a refuge from reality. Born on 25th August 1845 in Schloss Nymphenburg, Ludwig II was the eldest son of Maximilian II of Bavaria and Maria of Prussia. He and his brother Otto were strictly brought up with an emphasis on duty, but their parents kept themselves at a distance. Ludwig enjoyed dressing up, took pleasure in play acting, loved pictures and the like, and liked making presents of his property, money, and other possessions. This was not to change throughout the duration of his life. His vivid imagination, his tendency to isolate himself, and his pronounced sense of sovereignty were also already evident when Ludwig was a child. In 1864, Ludwig II ascended to the throne at the age of 18 without any experience of life or politics, but was adored by women. Looking back in 1873, almost 10 years after he took the throne, he described it thus: "I became king much too early. I had not learned enough. I had made such a good beginning with the learning of state laws. Suddenly I was snatched away from my books and set on the throne. Well, I am still trying to learn." 2 years after he took the throne, in 1866, Ludwig II suffered the biggest defeat of his life. The expanding state of Prussia conquered Austria and Bavaria in the German War. From then on, Bavaria's foreign policy was dictated by Prussia, and the king was only a vassal of his Prussian uncle. Even as a crown prince, Ludwig was already fascinated by the music, dramas, and writings of Richard Wagner. He wanted to bring the composer to Munich as soon as he became king and realized his dream of an opera festival. In 1864, he summoned Wagner to join him and thus rescued him from a serious financial crisis. Upon meeting Ludwig, Richard Wagner had this to say: "Today I was brought to him. He is unfortunately so beautiful and wise, soulful and lordly, that I fear his life must fade away like a divine dream in this base world. You cannot imagine the magic of his regard. If he remains alive, it will be a great miracle." In the following years, Munich became the music capital of Europe, and Ludwig II continued the patronage tradition of the House of Wittelsbach in grand style. Wagner was, however, forced to leave Munich by the end of 1865 because of conflict with the government. Later, Ludwig II also protested against the anti-Semitic sentiments expressed by his friend. He nevertheless continued with his lavish support for Wagner's work. The monumental festival theater planned for Munich was built in vastly simplified form in Bayreuth and inaugurated in 1876. Ludwig II was possessed by the idea of a holy kingdom by the grace of God. In reality, he was a constitutional monarch, a head of state with rights and duties and little freedom of action. For this reason, he built a fantasy world around him, in which, far removed from reality, he could feel he was a real king. From the beginning, Ludwig's fantasy world embraced several different epochs. The castle that would one day be known as Neuschwanstein was based on Christian kingship in the Middle Ages, and the New Versailles, which was built in 1878 on the Herreninsel, recalls the Baroque absolutism of the Bourbon King of France. Linderhof, built from 1869, imitates a variety of styles with the help of the latest technology. This technology was also used for the highly elaborate coaches and sleighs in which the king traveled at night, sometimes in historic costume. Ludwig spent more and more time in the mountains, and correspondingly less time in Munich. His fantasy world was further maintained by private performances in the Hoftheater, operas and plays performed for the king alone. The ideal poetic solitude which the king chose for himself was not in the long run compatible with his duties as a head of state. The new settings he was constantly devising for himself were equally beyond the private means of a king. Ludwig failed through his desire to anchor his illusions and dreams in reality. From 1885 on, foreign banks threatened to seize his property. The king's refusal to react rationally led to the government to declare him insane and depose him in 1886, a procedure not provided for in the Bavarian constitution. Ludwig II was interned in Berg Palace. The next day, he died in mysterious circumstances in Lake Starnberg, together with a psychiatrist who had certified him as insane. King Ludwig II of Bavaria's death in Lake Starnberg in 1886 remains a mystery, with the official ruling of suicide by drowning widely disputed. Several theories, including murder and a possible escape attempt gone wrong, have emerged, alongside the more conventional explanation of a struggle with a psychiatrist before Ludwig drowned. While some believe Ludwig was murdered, possibly while attempting to escape from his confinement at Castle Berg, one theory suggests he was shot by guards or those seeking to control his finances. He may of course also been trying to escape with the help of a loyal servant, but the escape was thwarted or went tragically wrong. Of course, it's also possible that Ludwig suffered a heart attack or stroke in the cold water, or that he drowned accidentally, perhaps due to a medical condition. The autopsy report indicated no external injuries or signs of violence, including no water in the lungs. However, the autopsy did not rule out internal injuries, and ultimately, the exact circumstances of Ludwig II's death remain shrouded in mystery, with the official ruling of suicide by drowning facing considerable skepticism and alternative explanations persisting to this day.